WWE presented Elimination Chamber live from Jeddah Superdome, Saudi Arabia yesterday, with the event featuring as the final stop on the road to WrestleMania. The card for the biggest event of the year is shaping up, and the WWE Universe is now awake of who the main champions will be heading into the show. Historically, WWE's trips to Saudi Arabia have seen some of the most iconic botches of all time. From Titus O'Neil falling down the ramp to Kane losing his mask, and Goldberg headbutting a ring post, the Middle East has seen them all, and tonight was no different. The following list looks at 5 botches you may have missed from this year's Elimination Chamber event. Number 5. The Miz was reluctant to lay in his kicks against Rey Mysterio at Elimination Chamber. The Miz and Rey Mysterio have been feuding for several weeks over the cover of WWE 2K22. The honors this year went to Mysterio, and that's something The Miz just can't abide. The two men collided once again in the Middle East, and after The Miz pulled off a cheat that Eddie would be proud of, Dominic was sent to the back. This led to The Miz attempting the skull-crushing finale, but Rey rolled through to win the match. But earlier in the bout, Mysterio was stuck on the top turnbuckle. The Miz unleashed several kicks on the former WWE champion, whose legs were tied up in the ropes. But it was clear the kicks were not landing on target. It appears that the 8-time Intercontinental Champion was reluctant to lay the kicks in on the veteran star. Whatever the reason, they were miles away from intended target. The match improved the longer that it went on, but since this was the first match of the night, and it happened to be between two future WWE Hall of Famers, it wasn't a great way to kick off Elimination Chamber. Number 4. Roman Reigns fails to break the submission even though Goldberg makes it to the ropes at Elimination Chamber. Roman Reigns defeated Goldberg in the final match of the Icon's current WWE contract at Elimination Chamber. The WWE Hall of Famer was unable to continue the match after being locked into Roman's guillotine submission maneuver. That being said, Goldberg was locked in the hold for several minutes, and was able to move Roman around, whilst in the submission. At one point, Goldberg drove Roman Reigns into the corner and grabbed the ropes with both hands. This happened right in front of the referee, but Roman Reigns maintained the hold with no consequences. This wasn't a no disqualification match, which means that a submission should be broken as soon as a wrestler makes contact with the ropes. This is especially egregious because Goldberg was holding on with both hands. In fact, one could argue that the referee failing to follow the rules is the reason Goldberg lost the match. But since this may well be Goldberg's final match in WWE, don't expect much to come of it. Number 3. Madcap Moss gets dropped on his head by Drew McIntyre at Elimination Chamber. Madcap Moss collided with Drew McIntyre in a Falls Count Anywhere match at Elimination Chamber. Drew McIntyre was able to pick up the win, after delivering a Claymore, with Angela in hand to ensure that Happy Corbin remained out of the ring. Midway through the match, McIntyre caught Moss and attempted to deliver a flapjack-like slam, but Madcap's landing was so awkward that it's hard to believe it wasn't painful. As seen in the video, Moss took the whole bump on his head before bringing his hands down to mitigate the impact. Impressively, Moss was able to get back up and finish the match despite many members of the WWE Universe believing he had suffered a concussion. There were a few awkward moments in the match, but it was Madcap Moss's bump that stood out above the others. It can only be assumed that his football training came into play here and allowed him to continue. Number 2. Bobby Lashley's pyro was botched at Elimination Chamber. Bobby Lashley was set to defend his WWE Championship inside the Elimination Chamber earlier tonight, but an injury forced him out of the match. Lashley was badly injured after Austin Theory was buckle-bombed through his pod and had to be helped out of the chamber by the medical team. It was then announced by WWE's commentary team that Lashley wouldn't be able to return to the match following concussion protocol, rendering him unable to defend his WWE Championship. But Lashley's bad night had already begun earlier, when WWE's production team botched his pyro as he was making his way to the ring. Looking back, it seems like an omen that the night wasn't going to go his way. In Lashley's absence, Brock Lesnar was able to brush aside the whole field in the chamber to become WWE Champion, setting up a title versus title match against Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. Number 1. Rhea Ripley vs Alexa Bliss's skirt inside the Elimination Chamber. Rhea Ripley stepped inside the Women's Elimination Chamber match in Saudi Arabia and dominated the field before Bianca Belair entered. Rhea and Bianca were able to make light work of the other women in the match, which culminated in the two women delivering stalling suplexes in tandem. Ripley lifted Alexa Bliss for the suplex, but the star's dress kept falling over her face. This resulted in her inability to see when Belair was delivering her suplex. Ripley almost fell over at one point, and when she realized that she was unable to keep the skirt off her face, she just hit the suplex out of sync. Rhea was unable to come out victorious in the end as she was eliminated by Bianca following a KOD. Alexa Bliss then suffered the same fate, and the EST of WWE booked her place at WrestleMania for the second year in a row. But this wasn't the only botch in the chamber. Bliss was involved in a number of sloppy moves and there were several awkward collisions throughout. Cody Rhodes could be coming to WWE as soon as Monday on Raw. Cody Rhodes has dominated the news streams for the past few days. Shockingly, he has left All Elite Wrestling, and rumors are abound regarding his future. Many suspect a return to WWE. However, Cody Rhodes has not announced anything officially regarding his future. However, it seems like his return to WWE may become a reality far sooner than expected. A major hint may have dropped at Elimination Chamber 2022. AEW since its inception in 2019, has had some cornerstone wrestlers with it. Cody Rhodes was one of them. Rhodes has won the AEW TNT World Championship 3 times. He has had some of the biggest matches in AEW history. Hence, his departure comes as a complete shock. But Rhodes recently revealed that he was on good terms with AEW. He thanked Tony Khan and all his fellow competitors at AEW after his exit. However, the internet is buzzing with rumors of his return to WWE after a segment at Elimination Chamber involving The Miz. The Miz lost his match to Rey Mysterio at the pre-show of Elimination Chamber. Later on the show, an agitated Miz gave an interview. The Miz has promised to bring a world-class superstar as his partner. If rumors are true, then Cody could appear in WWE as soon as Raw on Monday night. Cody Rhodes in WWE. Cody Rhodes left WWE back in May 2016 and began the renaissance of his career. He appeared as Stardust in WWE in his last run for the company and was not doing well. WWE did not present him as a main event star and he got lost in the shuffle. Cody Rhodes' last match in WWE was against Zack Ryder on the WWE Superstars show in 2016. Rhodes asked for his release from WWE, citing creative differences as a reason. Rhodes cruised the independent circuit for nearly 2 years after leaving WWE and attained great success. He completely reinvented his character and got incredibly over with the fans. Rhodes attained a lot of accolades in New Japan Pro Wrestling before eventually joining AEW.
Oh, let me up with a bright smile on now. Put me in the dark, so won't get lost now. To the moonlight,